You are listening to the Two and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the Two and Out CFL podcast.
He's got it! Oh, baby!
Every week, Travis Currah.
That's Grey Cup me, which is a different person.
And Brazilian Ty.
Hunters are people too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Oh, nearly intercepted, and it's over!
Ready, set, hunt!
Thanks for pressing this play on this episode of Two and Out. Happy 4th of July to our American friends. Happy Canada Day to the rest of our friends. Although there are some international people that listen to the show according to the podcast stats, but I'm assuming they're Canadians traveling abroad. But maybe I should never assume because you never know. The dark places on the internet that people can go to find this show.
It's like a YouTube rabbit hole you don't want to talk about.
But the big news this time of year, I'm always looking forward to the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest and Joey Jaws Chestnut with his 16th title. He's past his prime, we know that, but still, over 6 hot dogs in 10 minutes, over 18,000 calories, Brazilian Ty.
This is his second 8-game winning streak.
That's insane.
It's ridiculous. And like, I tuned in because I'm a degenerate and I have nothing better to do.
Can you bet on it?
Oh, probably. But
I gotta wonder what, like, if you bet against him, that should be a large payout.
You should be arrested. Like,
minus 40,000 on the Joey Jaws Chestnut.
And I tuned in like, what is happening? Like, TSN sucks. Oh, weird. And it turned out
because the rain delay.
Because it was canceled at first, and then he said, no, we're doing this once the rain lifted.
Yeah, we can't cancel that.
Yeah. I don't cancel golf for rain. I don't know why you'd cancel eating hot dogs.
I
golfed in a lightning storm. It's not that bad.
I'm trying to figure out like the calories in an entire like 4-liter bucket of ice cream. I'm not having success with it, but per 100 grams, there's over 200 calories. So how heavy is a 4-liter bucket of ice cream? Either way,
4,000 grams.
Yeah. Is it? Okay.
Milliliters a gram.
So
roughly
200 times 40, that would be the calories you are ingesting. Wow. So still, that's not enough calories?
Think of all the sodium. Like, it's white bread.
Wow.
The buns are probably way worse for you than the hot dog.
And still, just imagine eating that much ice cream. And then
imagine
the buns are soaked in water.
Yeah. Imagine being able to wear pants after eating all of that.
It is, I don't care what you say, it is an incredible achievement. And the dominance that has lasted this long, Joey Chestnut is my goat. Like,
he's the Ric Flair of the Nathan's International Hot Dog Eating Contest.
16 time. Maybe now is the time to.
He will not. No,
retire.
He wants to break the record again.
Get to 20.
No, he wants to break the record of 77. His record. He wants to break it.
He's past his prime, man.
And he even said that in the post. Yes, they had a post contest.
I love
interview.
The intro he gets too. Like, if that doesn't fire you up.
But the president of MLE, like Major League Eating, the president is such a loser. Like, I can't stand him. And he's the reason that Kobayashi quit. So we don't even have we don't have a good rivalry anymore.
He needs to come back because
they need to let him do other contests.
They do. Yeah.
This isn't WWE.
This is now an MLE podcast. I'd say if the CFL, like, let's just say it folded, I think we put this over into an MLE thing. I'd be down with that.
You know how hard it is to find those things?
We'll be the leading MLE podcast.
Yeah, well.
Unless there is another. I don't know.
Or I'll just be your Bobby Brain.
Yeah, exactly.
And we can take you on the road.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Week 4.
Look out, Glendon.
Week 4 in the CFL started in the nation's capital with the Ottawa RedBlacks ending
it.
Well,
I mean,
ending a 13-game home losing streak by beating the Edmonton Elks 26-7. And look, props to Ottawa for making this happen, but another dismal performance from Edmonton.
Embarrassing.
That was brutal.
Yeah,
I don't know how they scored 31 against Toronto, to be honest. Well, even that was a brutal
8 and
performance.
16. How do we ever win 8?
I mean,
there is no way Chris Jones is coming back next year.
You think he's done, eh?
They got to win out.
Whoa. At this point, like,
or do you just like? What do you like? How do you bring him back and expect fans to come back?
Yeah.
And you have the out, so take it, because it's a joke.
But the whole changing the management, every few seasons, I know it'll work once you find the right group, and you kind of gotta. I feel like they have to stick to process, but I think maybe some people think
they're going to be worse than they were last year.
They do appear worse already. I think people would like to see some changes on the coaching staff, but it does seem like Jones just keeps his guys with him. Whether that's right or wrong, that's just what he does. And
that's what happens when you give a guy autonomy.
I know that continuity is important, but 4-14 in 2022, 0-4 to start the season here. If they don't string together some wins soon, and it's not looking good.
How'd continuity work for the Leafs?
Yeah.
One playoff series win in what, 6 years?
They're going to Saskatchewan on Thursday. The Riders coming off the bye, and then they will be home to Hamilton
on a Thursday night.
Maybe that is an opportunity for them. Hamilton, short week, haven't won yet, but that's looking ahead of ourselves. Could that be the day that the home losing streak comes to an end? The game starts with Ottawa jumping out to a 3-0 lead, and then Tyree Adams hitting the fullback. Who doesn't like the good fullback play? Marco Dubois for a 50-yard play. It is a touchdown. It's 10-0 Ottawa, and then Bob Dice just going for it. Goes for the onside. They get flagged for interference. It could have been ugly, and it became ugly, but it could have been uglier for Edmonton.
They started the game with 3 straight 2-and-outs.
Yeah.
Like, that pretty much sums up the entire game for Edmonton.
I know we mentioned last week, it's like when you prepare as the starter, it's all of a sudden a different animal, and it was a different animal for Jarrett Dagey, and he was running for his life. That offensive line is a major liability in Edmonton, much like it was for Saskatchewan in 2022.
Yeah, and you're not giving him a chance when you're just allowing pressure after pressure after pressure. They couldn't really get much going on the ground game early, so it didn't give him any reprieve that way. I think, what was it? Dylan Mitchell went 3 of 7 for 34. Like, a lot of guys were like, just didn't have great games. His completion percentage was 58%. He threw 3 picks. Like, a lot of it has to do. It starts with the offensive line. He didn't have a shot from the start, and you have the reigning defensive player of the year on the other side.
Yeah. And I mean, he is a guy making his first start. There's no, I mean, this stuff happens, but when he's not in position to succeed, it can get ugly in a hurry. And he did make some bad decisions, but a lot of them was he's just running for his life back there. And it was rough for Jarrett Dagey. He does throw the pick in the second quarter. Lewis Ward kicks the 50-yarder. All of a sudden, it's 13-0 Ottawa, and then more 2-and-outs for the Elks Ottawa is up 16-0 at the half, and you're thinking, are we in danger of the Elks being shut out for the second time in 3 weeks? It looked like it was close to happening.
At 8 2-and-outs. They had the ball 14 times.
Wow.
How did they score 7 points?
Well, there was the one drive, really.
Yeah. And it was 5 plays.
Yeah.
Like they had 5 good plays.
Even when Edmonton kind of strung things together, Dandridge, he ends up picking off Daggy with some good field position. It was just it was tough for the Elks, and I would not. Fans are discouraged, and I understand. It feels like it's been forever.
Well, it has.
Since, and look, every team has their turn of sucking. There is
some teams that last a hell of a lot longer than others. Some teams have a decade of darkness.
But as a lifelong Rough Rider fan, it has almost felt like Edmonton has never had their turn of incompetence. And if they did, Eric Tillman,
they still beat the Riders.
It didn't last long.
Yeah.
Like
turned
Richie
around.
Hall as their head coach, kind of thing. Cavis Reed, consequences. I guess there's been some classic moments of incompetence, but this is
not just the Elks either. Like, let's be real.
This is an extended stretch, so I can understand the frustration going on there.
Oh no, I'm devastated. Look at what you get for winning 5 Grey Cups in a row. Like, you have to sell your soul, and it comes back at some point.
Eventually.
The receipt's coming.
Now in the third quarter, I guess it was the lone bright spot for the Elks. Maurice French getting onto the roster. For French, and scores the touchdown. They end up even scoring the 2-point conversion, but surprise, surprise, holding penalty. And then it's 16-6 Ottawa at that point. So it's like, even when they do succeed, there's something else to just pull them back.
2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Yeah, exactly.
And then on the second attempt, like, everything goes to crap, and Daggy just has to kind of scramble and take a hit for no reason.
Yeah. Maurice French, 6 catches, 8 targets, 74 yards, and the touchdown. So that he's a speedster, and he might be one of those guys, if they can get the ball in his hands a few times every game going forward, that'll be good. I know they're missing Geno Lewis, and that sucks. But even Kyron Moore, 2 catches on 6 targets.
Nobody's job is safe in that receiving core right now, except for Geno Lewis, I don't think.
Which, it sounds crazy to start the year. I mean, everybody in Edmonton and around the CFL were looking at Edmonton saying, this receiving core is legit, but without an offensive line, the quarterback can't get him the ball. Like, the
2 of us even said that they were going to be, they could be looking at a playoff game, and that's out the window.
Ottawa hits them with a field goal here, and then Daggy's running for his life, back-to-back plays, gets sacked, and hey, they get that missed extra point back by scoring the single on the punt. But as the game went on, credit to Ottawa's run game with Demontre Tuggle, 17 carries, 126 yards, 7.4 yards a carry. There's a touchdown in there, and I know that the stats say that Edmonton's rushing defense is terrible and one of the weakest parts of the team, but
not Ottawa's fault.
I feel like it's the circumstances that lead the rushing defense to being that bad. Like, they're not
like a goalie getting 100 shots.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to stop all 100. Well, when you get, what they have between Tuggle and Jackson Bennett was 25 rush attempts.
Bennett had himself over 5 yards a carry. Tyree Adams had 31 yards rushing on 3 carries himself.
So they had 28 rush attempts just between those 3 guys. Well, that's going to, those numbers are eventually, one's going to break, and it's going to add some numbers to your total.
Yeah. So, I mean, credit to Ottawa for beating them up on the ground. They had more rushing yards than they did passing yards, and Adams looked all right. He didn't turn the ball over, 14 of 20.
Who's quarterback for Ottawa? Matt Nichols?
That's a managing win if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
But Adams can move. That's the difference from him to Matt Nichols, I guess. Although Nichols would surprise
Nichols
you once in a
moved
while.
from team to team to team.
But I think, and it's been said before, I've always, even in years past, I thought that Ottawa had a decent defense, but when they're on the field nonstop, then the numbers start to show they're not that good of a defense because they're just getting worn out, and that's the way it goes in football. If one of the three phases is not really picking up the slack, it leans on that one phase a little bit more, and I feel like that might be the case with Edmonton's defense, especially on the run game side of things.
Which leads right back to your offense not staying on the field, not extending drives. Like you look at the difference, like Tyree Adams and Jared Dagey, we thought it was going to kind of be not a defensive battle, but just kind of an ineptitude, maybe not ineptitude, just inexperience. And just the way that Kahari Jones ran that offense for Ottawa set Tyree Adams up for success.
Yep.
And, they extended drives, they scored. Edmonton could not, like I said, they started the game out 3 straight 2-and-outs. They had 8 total all night. Your defense is just getting thrown to the wolves, and you're hoping, and because it's Chris Jones, it'll work out. Well,
yeah,
all your chickens are coming home to roost now. The guy's wearing 3 different hats. You're letting him have full autonomy. It's not working. It hasn't worked for the last 2 years. Now you're here. So now, is this another 14-week training camp to try to find out what you have, but at the end, you're just going to fire him?
Well, that's it. Can you let him go? I think this happened with Brock Sunderland. They continued to keep him in the job. He makes like some pretty critical trades, and then you fire him. like
letting Chiarelli sign a goalie for $4.5 million and then firing him the next day.
Okay.
Stay hot, Edmonton. You're doing great.
Jalen Ackland got into the action a little bit, 2 catches for 49 yards. He was second in receiving behind Marco Dubois, who had the 54-yarder and then 1 4-yarder. But
it's the life of a fullback, baby.
Edmonton or Ottawa got it done. And I can't believe with losing Devontae Dedmon, which I think sucks. It's just too bad he's not going to be in the rest of the season. The return game hasn't really taken a hit. Brandon Dandridge had a 34-yard punt return. He had over 100 yards in return yards when it comes to punts. He's a good returner himself.
And it also helps you're playing the worst punter in the league who just punts it directly down the middle, and you get to pick which way to go. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, take the penalty and kick it out of bounds. Do something to help your cover team out, because you're just, here you go. You have 65 yards to choose from. Which 32.5 do you want?
Yeah.
Because that's basically all he's doing.
Congratulations to our nation for the big win. I feel like maybe better times are coming in Ottawa, as it's already been
Jalen
announced.
Ackland, player of the week.
It's already been announced that Jeremiah Masoli will be starting this weekend in the Hammer. So he's playing his old team, and so is Jalen Ackland playing his old team, the Tiger Cats, without a win on the young season, and the Ottawa RedBlacks, all of a sudden, the sky is falling. If they win this weekend, they're 500.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Huh? Who would have thought?
How quickly?
Who would have thought? Not me.
Things change in the Canadian Football League. Just in the same note, Edmonton could quickly be 0-5 going into Regina, playing their former quarterback in Trevor Harris, but a place where Taylor Cornelius had success last September against that Rough Rider team. But so far this year, it appears to be a different Rough Rider team from a year ago. Taylor Cornelius, it's already been announced, will be making that restart at Mosaic Stadium. We'll get to more of that game coming up on our Week 5 preview. We'll go to Montreal on Canada Day, where the Alouettes hosting their first ever Canada Day game. I guess Mother Nature had different plans. I didn't set my PVR long enough.
I did. Barely.
You did?
Barely.
I didn't expect an hour and 45-minute game delay.
I don't know if I said it that way, because I think I only have it to
maybe
record.
it just knew somehow.
I think so. Like,
Wow.
too bad it doesn't know the commercials.
Yeah.
Like, it just hit like a skip button and it skips
Yeah,
commercials.
just like back in the day on the VCR when you could
Yeah.
pause the recording.
Now I just got to tell it to skip ahead 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But it recorded the whole thing.
Nice.
I don't understand what happened. But we also got a storm here, and I had to get out of the pool right at the end of Money in the Bank after LA Knight got screwed. But
What a
like,
match.
yeah, that storm rolled in, and so I'm like, I'll just drink beer on the deck and watch the football game. And I get on at the table. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Then I was scrambling to find people to come over, and I invited your brother and Pat and Dean.
Oh, you had a good Canada Day then.
Yeah, and Dean brought his grandkid.
Oh. And look, thinking of the people in near Didsbury, Alberta, I was in Banff, and man, the videos I saw come across the pipe, it does appear that no lives were lost.
Other than
Human
like
lives.
livestock, yeah.
Property was lost. I'm serious. This looked like something out of a movie. I think it was rated an F3 tornado, the most powerful tornado in Alberta since
August 13th,
2000.
1987. Oh,
Actually, no, 2000.
oh, Jesus.
Pine Lake. There was that one.
Oh, and my Auntie Cindy called me and said it was coming to Lloyd and scared the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah. Tornadoes are, man, nothing to mess with. I guess there was a lady near Caroline, I think. She
Trapped
was
in her
the
basement.
Wow.
Got lucky.
Wow. So, look, the Montreal weather is one thing. In Alberta, Canada Day weather was a whole nother animal. As far as the Alouettes go, it kind of seemed like probably a bit of deja vu for Cody Fajardo, seeing that
Early
Winnipeg
on.
pass rush
Yeah.
come at him early and often. He did not have much of a chance to get anything going in this one. And with the weather, the rain, I thought it was going to be a heavy dose of William Stanback. Even the pregame, props to the broadcasters that had to be on for that long. That is an incredibly long time to fill time when you have no idea when they're going to be playing. It seemed like Willie Jefferson was just punishing Matthew Shinetti, making him do the interview in the pouring rain. But
It's so hard to hate Willie Jefferson.
It is. And William Stanback talking to Shinetti was kind enough to do it inside the tunnel, but I thought there'd be a heavy dose of him.
I'd be the outside guy.
No, real big carries for William Stanback, and maybe that has to do with the fumble in the third quarter, but I thought they'd be giving him the ball a whole lot more than they did.
Well, and they mentioned on the broadcast, was Marsh doing that game?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had talked to Derek Taylor, and Derek's like, well, no, like, they're going to pass because it's so much easier for the receivers. They know their routes. They change the ball out every play. Balls are dry.
Right.
But the receivers know their routes, know where their cuts are. The defenders are the ones guessing if they're playing man-to-man. So it's a lot easier for the receivers in that sense. I think, that's the old school way to look at it, though. Like, it's raining, it's gross out. We're gonna run the hell out of this ball. Yeah, maybe in cold weather, just because your hands, you lose a lot of feeling that way. Montreal has a DB with a hand warmer. Like, what is that?
You're in trouble.
But he's a former quarterback.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's kind of the old school way now. Now you're just expected to be able to play the same game no matter what, it seems.
Is that the DB that delivered the massive hit to Greg McRae? Yeah. That was. I guess McRae's going to be okay, but that was quite the punishing hit that he delivered in this one. It's maybe they were giving the ball to McRae a little bit more because Oliveira's banged up a little bit, but I mean, clearly he's been a game time decision, but clearly it's also not affecting him. They gave him the ball 20 times for 112 yards. So Winnipeg went that direction with the rain and the sloppy weather.
They also had a lead.
Yeah, they did for most of the game, and it seemed to work for them. It was just kind of one of those grinded out games going to Montreal, and that's kind of a style that Montreal can play, I think. But it was just the trench battle when it came to Montreal's offensive line. They just really didn't have much answers.
Oh, they're lining Willie Jefferson up at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
In some plays. Like that was the last strip sack of the game there. He was lined up as a D tackle. It's so hard. Like if he's not on the edge, like, and you lose him, if you're Fajardo, you have no idea where he is. Like it's so tough when the guy's that versatile. And then even you have Adam Bakill, that rookie, Damare.
Yeah, Soiree.
He has the least. His completion percentage against is the lowest in the league this year.
Yeah.
And we thought teams were just going to be able to pick on him.
I think he missed the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
When he's come in, and I know he took the PI, I think, on his very first play against the Lions. But he seems to have settled down, and he's
been lights out.
Fitting
and
into
now
Demario
Houston, and now Demario Houston's back.
Yeah.
And it's that secondary has gotten even better.
Yeah, I think they're very happy with how things have gone with that replacement DB getting into the lineup. A key moment early in the game is David Cote missing his first field goal of the year, and Winnipeg answers back with an 11-play, 65-yard drive that ends in the Drew Wolodarski touchdown. So, I mean, oh yeah, because there was the McRae touchdown. It gets called back on the block. Didn't matter. That's what Winnipeg does. 2nd and 12, and they hit Wolodarski for the TD. Just missing the field goal and getting punched in the face with a major. That's demoralizing for the Alouettes.
And that's a long drive.
Yeah.
From Winnipeg's own 15. And not only that, to start the game, Montreal forces a 2-and-out. Now I know it's the first drive of the game, but Montreal 48% at 2-and-outs on the defensive side this year coming into the game.
Wow.
So like you said, the grinded out kind of game, like their defense can play.
They can.
But I mean, we talked about Winnipeg coming into this game pissed off. They didn't look all that pissed off early. Like, I mean, they only scored 17 points, but a lot of that could be weather and all that stuff. But it just felt like Montreal was never out of it, even though they gave up that big play. And as demoralizing as it could be, they seemed to stay in it. Like 10-0, they still weren't out of it.
Yeah, when you see 3 points, that's tough to see, losing 17-3. But it's 10-0 Winnipeg at the half, even though I guess it could have been 13-3. Castillo misses the 37-yarder, but surprise, it was a timeout from the Bombers. Well, the long snapper botches the following snap, so no points for the Bombers on that exchange. And then
I don't even I guess it worked either way. You're getting 0 points because Castillo missed the kick anyway.
Yeah. It would have, I guess, one thing if he would have made the original kick, but
yeah, nothing like getting iced by your own coach.
Yeah,
and he didn't even ice the kicker; he iced the long snapper.
Yeah. Now Montreal had the opportunities, but it's when Winnipeg starts to take advantage of your mistakes a little bit. And that was the difference in this game here, because Fajardo started moving the ball a little bit and started finding Keon Julian Grant, the game's leading receiver. 6 catches, 6 targets, 129 yards, including a 69-yard reception tie.
Nice.
Just a beautiful game from Keon Julian Grant.
Real great reception. What happened on the next play?
Yes, picked off at the 2-yard line or something like that.
Basically at the goal line, yeah. And Brandon Alexander. Who else?
We've seen that a few times this year, getting picked off in your end zone at the goal line deep in the opponent's end. You throw interceptions there, it's not going to go well for your team. Winnipeg took advantage.
And of course, what happens on that ensuing drive?
It's touchdown Winnipeg to Dalton Schoen. It's 17-0.
Stop turning the ball over to this team.
Yeah. And we'll get to another team that you shouldn't turn the ball over to in our Monday night CFL game. Austin Mack had a close
like 6
touchdown.
times, maybe.
He had a close call for another touchdown, but he himself has another 100-yard game. 6 catches, 11 targets, 103 yards. So 2 100-yard receivers for the Alouettes. Not quite enough as Cody Fajardo goes 17 of 27 for 258 yards and that pick. 2
100-yard receivers and you score 3 points.
Yeah. Yep. I guess that's Winnipeg, man. Like,
yeah,
that's Winnipeg.
Like, but we're like that 69-yard catch got Montreal down to the 17,
14
to the 14.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's not like it was a 69-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And you took points off the board yourself because you threw a pick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just one of those things that just comes back to bite you again and again. This team is just ridiculous on the defensive side of the ball, and people know that, but there's just nothing they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like ever since Brandon Alexander moved to safety, that defense has been lights out.
It was a big move. It's
huge.
Cody Fajardo is still going to be having nightmares of Big Willie in blue and gold. He did in Saskatchewan, and it looks like he may still be doing that in Montreal as well. As far as Winnipeg, it was just
Has Willie Jefferson made up for the Labor Day pick 6 against the Bombers now? Are they over that?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. As far as Winnipeg goes, even Zach threw an interception, although that one was bouncing around all over the place. He goes 15 of 23, 193 yards, 2 TDs, and the interception. Yeah, he did hit Dalton Schoen and Drew Wolodarski. Dalton Schoen, the leading receiver, 93 yards on the day, so he gets back into the good books of fantasy owners.
Do you have the original stat sheet or the revised
I think I'm looking. I must be looking at the original one.
This one, it got revised.
Here, let me look at the revised one now.
15 of 23 for 177, and Schoen was 5 of 8 for 86.
Oh, okay.
Because the stats can be trusted this year.
I get 7-yard difference. I don't.
Yeah.
How does this happen?
It's only 0.7 points.
And I think Oliveira had 120 yards in this revised. Okay, here we go. A few differences on this stat sheet than the other one, but Winnipeg back into the win column as they get set to play Calgary. That Friday nighter is going to be really interesting with the Stamps coming off the bye, and Montreal getting set to go to Vancouver, which I think will be another very interesting game because Vernon Adams Jr. is going to want to follow up that performance in Toronto with a much better game. The Argos are the final undefeated team in the CFL. They are undefeated through 3 games for the first time since 1991. Matt Dennigan,
and people still
Rocket
ask about it
Ismail.
on Twitter when was the last time they started? It's like, they haven't been talking about this for 2 weeks. Like, do you not watch TV?
45-24, the Argos stomp the BC Lions. But watching that game, BC had every opportunity in the world to win it. Every opportunity. But they would just let it go with bad throws, Bassett bad interceptions, and like they've done all year, the Argos, every single mistake that you make, they punish you with it. I think it was about when the Argos went up 14-7 early in the second quarter, they had like 30 yards of offense, but it's because they had the return touchdown from Javon Leake. And then the short field after the Vernon Adams interception. Argos offense really
didn't have to work that hard.
They didn't, especially early on.
They outscored BC 34-3 off turnovers.
That is wild. 34 points off at turnovers.
That's unheard of.
Vernon Adams Jr., especially.
I'm saying Vernon Adams Jr. went 30 of 30 because he had 6 completions.
Hey,
to Toronto.
That's not that bad.
I think that's fair. And then we take off the yards that the returns were. He's got like 100 and some.
Dude, that's a stat line. 24-39, 388 yards, 6 picks, 3 touchdowns.
8 rushing yards, 16.3 fantasy points.
It appears that the Argos secondary was just giving him fits, clearly.
Rushing 3 again.
Yeah. Whatever they were doing, Robertson Daniel gets the hat trick, 3 interceptions, including 1 for a touchdown.
With a pick 6 on the 6th.
Yeah.
The 6th pick was a pick 6.
Yeah. So now some of them were forced in there. There was one in triple. Well, no, the Keon Hatcher catch in the 4th quarter, triple coverage. Somehow he comes down with it. But yeah. They were forced in there. And then there was, I think it was in the 3rd quarter. I don't know if it was the 4th pick off his back foot. It was just, it
looked like he got hit.
Yeah.
It was completely off his back foot. Candy Maldonado just sailing it into the backstop, and it was like a punt.
Yeah. And he was feeling pressure through most of the night, and that probably had an impact on him. But quarterbacks just have to have a short memory. Somehow the Lions were still in this game despite all of those interceptions, because the Lions defense, I know that Toronto put up 45. They were giving Chad Kelly problems as well, and they were making him move a lot.
They were flushing him out of the pocket. They were able to send 3, 4, 5 guys. But when they sent those guys, he picked apart man coverage.
He did.
So when you did that, you had to get there. What did they end up with in sacks? I can't quite remember.
Chad Kelly was sacked 3 times. Yeah. Actually, Vernon Adams was sacked 3 times as well.
But I mean, it was just taking care of the football, and Toronto did a way better job.
Am I seeing this right? 8 different Toronto Argonauts had a catch in this one. Dejon Brissett, Curly Gittins Jr., Andrew Harris, AJ Ouellette, Davaris Daniels, David Ungerer, DeMonte Coxey, and Cam Phillips was the leading receiver. 6 catches, 6 targets, 76 yards on the day. They don't have a guy that's far and above just taking all of the targets and all of the scores. But
so then who do you put your number 1 guy on?
They have all these guys. They're going to get big chunks of yards and make your defense respect them.
And Davaris Daniels, front of the end zone, goes up and climbs the ladder, gets it. Does this get him going now? And now you have a real issue with this offense? They distribute the ball so well. Andrew Harris can throw, apparently.
What a veteran move. It looks like he's going to lose about 12 on the play and throws it away.
Got to pass the line of scrimmage. It should have went further, considering. But, yeah, it's one of those things, we talk about balanced offenses. Ouellette went for 70 yards. Chad Kelly threw for 249. 14, 6. So they ran it 22 times, 29 pass attempts. It's pretty balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And they distributed the ball pretty evenly. Andrew Harris and David Ungerer had 1 and 2 catches, or targets, and Ouellette, but everybody else had 4, 5, and 6.
And Ouellette's playing hurt. Clearly,
how hurt can he be?
I don't know. He looks like he can barely stand on the sideline, and then he gets onto the field. That bleach blonde hair is. The first hit's never getting him down.
No.
And he has 14 carries for 70 yards and another touchdown. The Argos of a year ago couldn't punch the ball into the end zone of the running back to save their lives, and now they're doing it every week.
Yeah, and he's becoming a staple in people's fantasy lineups.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do, like I said, they're distributing the ball well through the air. You have to respect Chad Kelly's ability to run the ball. You can't just key in on the run game. A lot of teams can and snuff the run game out early. We've seen teams where they only get 5 or 6 attempts and they got to give it up because they're down 14.
Yeah.
That's not, this team is able to get you in so many different ways.
BC sort of abandoned their running game. Taquan Mizell had 6 carries for 22 yards. That Argonaut defense is legit. and they will make you pay in so many different ways. And
About
they did
30,
that for the Lions.
34 different ways. Was it 34
Exactly.
37?
Keon Hatcher making his return to the lineup for the Lions with 8 catches on 10 targets, 104 yards, and a touchdown. Thankfully, I had Dominic Rhymes in my fantasy lineup. It could have been a whole lot better of a night for Mr. Rhymes, but a lot of them were off-target throws. Some lower ones that he had trouble bringing in.
Some intercepted.
Lots of them were hit by the defender with Dominic Rhymes, but he had the 2 touchdowns, 65 yards and 3 catches, but 10 targets. They were, I think the Argos were focusing on number 19, even though they gave up the 2 scores. Those 7 plays that ended up in Argo hands or on the dirt has to be considered a pretty good day for that defense.
Well, and 2 for BC, like their offense put up 24 points, turning the ball over 7 times.
I know. So
like that is ridiculous.
Clean that up and a completely different game. Well, obviously 6 picks. Like when is the last time we've seen a quarterback throw 6 picks? I feel like it's been a long time.
I feel like that's neon greenish.
Maybe it is neon. I don't know. Alexander Hollins had 68 yards himself, 3 catches, and Justin McInnes, 4 catches and 81 yards. So clearly BC was able to move the ball. And Toronto move the ball.
Toronto again showing that they can't manage the clock.
The end of that first half, Cam Phillips fighting for extra yards, taking away
already in field goal position.
Yeah, a long field goal attempt from Boris Beatty, and he gets hurt in the process, or at least he was on the field a little bit.
And Dinwiddie was not happy
through that headset. But you like to see the old headset get.
Yeah, I like to see that fire. But when it's Jason Moss, it's too much.
Yeah, exactly. But how about these Toronto Argonauts? 45 points this week, 43 last week, 32 in week 2. And like a lot of it is the defense creating short fields for the offense, but they all count and they're all points on the board, and they are lighting it up to start this season.
Hear me out. Hamilton crosses over.
How's this going to happen?
Well, because they'll finish 4th and be better than 3rd place in the West. Just it's possible.
Okay,
you can cross over both ways. You can cross over both ways. Hamilton comes out of the West. Toronto comes out of the East and beats them in Hamilton for the Grey Cup. Would that city burn to the ground?
The all Toronto Grey Cup in Toronto.
Yeah, basically in Toronto. It's like a suburb. Like that place would burn to the ground.
Okay, so
not that it doesn't already look like it has, but
we need to stand for your scenario to happen. Edmonton, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe Calgary goes 1-17. I don't even know if this is mathematically impossible. Well, they would have to. Well, if Edmonton only beats Calgary this year,
Hamilton and Toronto just have to win out.
Yep. Easier said than done.
Well, no, everybody in the East has to win out, which can't be done. But
hey,
they could tie.
I would love to see this happen.
Yeah, there's a way that it can happen. We just don't know what it is.
The BC Lions, look, I think they're going to be fine. They're going to dust themselves off from this game. Vernon Adams Jr., I'll bet you 10 grand he's not going to throw 6 picks in one game for the rest of the year.
What kind of odds do I get?
Man, I would give you pretty solid odds on that one.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Oh, you're good? Okay.
I think so.
You won't take that bet, but I mean,
What am
clearly. Now, look, it was clearly some good teams, big plays made in this one, but it was just those turnovers that crushed the BC Lions.
Have we had a kick return touchdown every week?
Maybe.
Except for I don't think we have on week 1, but the last 3 we have.
There are things happening. Javon Leak with the big, and that's what happened earlier in the game. Javon Leak, it's a tie game, even though the Argos had 0 net yards in offense after the first quarter. So they had 0 yards in one of the quarters
and put up 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just how those Argos are this year. They are, yeah, here it is. They had a 22-yard drive to start the second quarter to go up 14-7. So they've got 22 yards and 14 points on the board. One of those days at BMO Field, and I think, and at least I hope, that the 6 is going to start noticing this team, and their next time out, they're off this week. They're going to Montreal.
What is that schedule?
Well, and then they got Hamilton on.
But like, I mean,
Hamilton.
Your bye weeks are week 1 and week 5.
Yeah,
and then you got one somewhere down the line. Like,
the Argos actually aren't home again until July 29th against the Rough Riders. So there we go. They're in Montreal, in Hamilton, and yeah, exactly.
So yeah, they're home. Bye. They're home the week before the 29th then.
On bye already. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, like already back on bye. It's seems a little ridiculous. And then 3 team, like a 3 schedule this weekend. I didn't mind it.
Right.
Because it's a long weekend. People are gone. Gate-driven league to begin with, and then everybody else can be watching on TV. Well, if you're at the lake, like, who's really going to be watching that? Like, not a lot of people. I don't feel like. Do I think there should have been a game yesterday? No. But I have no problem with it being only 3 games.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Well, I'm all right with it.
People bitched about everything this weekend. So
I kind of just don't go on Twitter that much. Yeah. I check my mentions kind of thing. And I keep up with the CFL news by using Twitter.
And then people are like, well, why would you have it at 7:00 local time in Toronto? It's like,
when else are you gonna have it? It's a Monday.
And you're at the lake. If you're at the lake, you're coming home Monday. You're not leaving the lake at 6 a.m. to make it for a noon game.
Yeah.
Like,
they had.
What do you people want?
12,000 people there, which is, I mean, I think in Toronto standards, it's not bad.
Okay.
We're seeing about that in Edmonton. So,
are we seeing?
I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
Those 50,000 empty seats make it look like there's a lot less people there.
There does. Who are the fantasy leaders this week, Ty?
So quarterbacks. Chad Kelly only put up 16.5. Vernon Adams was second. He could have had a hell of a lot more points. He still put up 16.3, but those 6 picks just destroyed his fantasy numbers.
Were those the top 2 quarterbacks?
Those are the top 2, and then Tyree Adams was third. You got to remember, there's only 3 games, Trav.
But still, there was no quarterback above 20 points. I don't feel so bad about my Jarrett Dagey pick then.
I still feel bad about that. We're dumb. We're so dumb. Tyree Adams was third at 14.5. I'm going through all the quarterbacks this week. Colaro's 13.5. Fajardo 12.8. Jarrett Dagey 7.7. Cameron Dukes almost beat Jarrett Dagey with 6.2.
Wow.
Because he had a rushing touchdown. And then Crum, Davis, and Khalil Tate all had those little short yardage plays.
Yeah.
When it comes to running backs, Tuggle 20.2, Oliveira 15.9, Ouellette 14.4, Marco Dubois and Jackson Bennett 13.8 and 8.8 round out the top 5. Ottawa had 3 of the top 5 running backs this week.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Javon Leak got 6 points because you don't get any points for return yards.
Wow.
Just the touchdown. Keon Hatcher and Dom Rhymes, obviously 24.4 and 21.5. Schoen 19.6, Maurice French at 19.4. Keon Julian Grant 18.9 and Austin Mack 17.5. So
my lineup was like kind of all over the place because I had Austin Mack and Dom Rhymes, but I had Demontre Tuggle. But then I filled it out with Dagey, Stanback, Dunbar, and the Lions defense, who got me -1. So
I had the Elks D.
What did they get?
1.
Oh, they beat the Lions defense. Although I feel like they're getting punished for special teams touchdowns anyway.
And it says Jarrett Day got 6.8, so they must have changed scoring. I got to try to find it and try to figure out what the hell they've done. I had Oliveira and Ouellette, and Ouellette was my captain. Demski totally missed that he was having a kid. Ackland, player of the week at 6.9. And Unger got me 3.4.
Player of the week.
Yeah.
Me
week.
giving Dom Rhymes the captaincy on my team squeaked me out a win by 2.2 over BB Can Riot in the CFL podcast.
Did he pick all former Stamps?
Well,
you can't even look at his lineup. Let's wreck everything.
Apparently that feature is coming soon. Here's an update on my pick'em over the past 2
proper
weeks.
Stats coming soon.
My pick'em over the last 2 weeks, 1-7.
I am.
Whereas I guess that's technically 1-6. 1 win, 6 misses.
That's not good, Travis.
No, it's
over
not.
Over the last 2 weeks, I am 4-3.
Hey, you're doing all right.
But I only have 8 wins.
No.
Total.
It's been a tough
This is a far cry from finishing 8th last year overall.
We're not going to be getting any old Dutch chips anytime soon.
Good, because they suck.
Although I was going to say our sponsorship slots are open on the podcast.
Hey, Lays, if you're looking for a podcast, we're your guys.
I'll take any money. And if you are willing, the hat is here on Patreon, and you can like and subscribe on any podcatcher.
If I want burnt chips, I'll just make them at home. I'm not going to pay $3
I love the burnt ones. My wife always gives them to me.
Gross. Yeah, you probably like black jujubes too.
No, I draw the line in the sand there.
The line should be drawn here. No further.
And hit us up on YouTube and subscribe there as well. We're going to get you ready Thursday. Obviously, you get the show a bit earlier if you're a touchdown tier subscriber on Patreon. But week 5 comes fast, and we'll get you ready for that on Thursday.
And it'll be my last show at home for like a month.
Back to work?
Yeah.
Back to work. Is there something else you can get a surgery on?
Oh, I can think of a few things.
That's week 4. 2 and Out with Travis Currah and Brazilian Ty. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.